Okay, let's talk about the cat injury. He tore his meniscus. This all was announced like 4 or 5 days ago. Of course, the first thing is you wish the best for him. It was announced about a half hour ago that the surgery was successful, so that's a good sign. The expectation is that he will be able to return early in the West playoffs. Perhaps that means a few days beforehand. Maybe that means during a round one matchup, whatever. That's, of course, if everything goes well. And even then, it's not a guarantee he's going to be 100% in a round one matchup. And even a round one matchup in the West is going to be not a fun time. It's also not a guarantee to be 100% for a round two matchup. We hope he could be, but you just never know. And you've also got the fact that the Nuggets and Thunder have been rolling lately, whereas the Wolves are 5-5 in their last 10 and all that. Because, of course, giving yourself any sort of leeway in this Western Conference between, an extra home court advantage series or potentially all of them if you can get the one seed, obviously that's going to help you out. Anyway, the big thing with the Wolves this whole season has been defense is amazing. Pretty sure we all believe Rudy's going to get Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, it's not just Rudy. I mean, Jaden, Alexander Walker, Ant. And then offensively, it's been, well, where can they get to? With Ant and Cat, of course, getting a lot of buckets. And I've loved the Cat, Gobert, Horns sets that they run. And Conley's just the perfect decision-making point guard for these guys, even if the box score numbers don't go crazy all the time. Well, for all those nice things, when karl-Anthony Towns has not been on the court this season, the Wolves' offense has had an offensive rating of 106, which is a very small number. And if you look at their last few games, two observations. Number one, Naz Reid's getting more shots up, and we're definitely going to talk about Naz Reid because he was getting buckets on their last couple. But also, it has been a lot of Anthony Edwards. And of course, listen, I mean, he was amazing in that Pacer game, featuring one of the best blocks you're ever going to see, where he claims he's jumped the highest he's ever jumped, and yeah, I believe him. But he also had 44, and I mean, yeah, he was fantastic. And it was pretty much anything you can imagine. I mean, you had pull-ups off the pick and roll, you had him like rejecting a Gobert screen to get downhill and score, you had him beating Nemhard in an ISO on an empty side, and then he's got a Euro step and finish over Siakam and Miles Turner. And then those two shots in the fourth, I mean, it's a pull-up two over Neesmith, and then a floater with Siakam all over him as well. Like, those are huge shots. But in these games, I mean, Ant has attempted 35, 27, and 23 shots in the other ones being against the Cavs and the Lakers. He's gotten to 40 minutes or very close to 40 minutes in all these games. And, I mean, listen, Ant is 22 years old, so I know he can handle it. But that being said, that may be the one option that the Wolves have here to just get through offensively with Cat not here, right? Defensively, they're still going to be great. We all get that. But yeah, for the next month or so, we might just have to live in the world of Anthony Edwards doing more than he already had to do for these guys. In that Laker game late, it's like one play that summed it up for me where Ant is trying to ISO on Taurean Prince, and it's like D'Lo and Taurean Prince double him at the free throw line. The shot clock is winding down. He's got to throw it to Nickeil Alexander-Walker for a desperate three. It doesn't go in. This is after they had like the beginning of the fourth where Ant was not in the game, and even though Conley and Naz Reid were in the game, it was like, this is just kind of rough for these guys to score sometimes. Now, we've also gotten some TJ Warren and Luka Garza sightings. In fact, we even saw TJ featured in the Horns action that I love so much between Cat and Gobert. Like, to talk about Naz Reid, also Gobert did not play in that Laker game, but he's just going to get more shots, more minutes with Cat gone here. I feel like it's unfair to him to simply say that he is a big who can shoot and dribble, right? Like, he has a quick release from three. He can get out to three really fast on like relocations and stuff. And I mean, of course he can attack closeouts, but like he can put moves together. Like he can bust out crossovers and around the back moves after catching it and closing or attacking a closeout, or he can push it himself in transition. Like he's a very talented big. I mean, hell, they had a set in the Pacer game where Naz Reid flows from the corner to get a handoff action from Monte Morris, which shout out to Monte, he's here. And then it flows into a pick and roll with Gobert and he finishes at the rim. Like he's a talented player. So this can help, but it's not Karl-Anthony Towns, right? And within all this, you're also looking at, how often are Alexander Walker and Jaden McDaniels beating guys on closeouts and, Slow-Mo, who is a smart player, but of course is not going to give you Cat's shooting or production or any of that, right? And so I do think just the rest of the way, like the things to look at if you're not going to watch the Wolves like that, or just there's another game you want to watch for the night. And actually for their game tonight against the Clippers, or maybe it already happened depending on when you're seeing this, Ant and Gobert are questionable. I think an interesting thing to monitor is just how many minutes did Ant play? How many shots did he take? And also his assist to turnover stuff, I think, is going to be even more important than it already was down the stretch. Because, in these games without Cat, I mean, it's a lot of Ant Gobert pick and roll. It's a lot of Conley Gobert pick and roll, which, to be fair, that was already part of what they were doing. But now it feels like it's going to have to be even a little more. You got like the occasional Ant pin down, or he's getting like a handoff from Naz Reid. They're flowing into whatever next after that. Like it's all standard enough stuff. It's just got to be more from one guy now, and of course, just not having Cat's talent out there and not being able to feature him and stuff as much. You get what I'm saying. And I mean, look, if the playoffs were to begin today, the Wolves would get the Suns in round one. And having a 60 or 70% cat as opposed to 100% one, like, obviously that would make it a little tougher on the Wolves. Now, sure, the other thing with Cat is throughout his career, when he's been in like play-in games or playoff games, he has had some big scoring games. He's also had times where between he's getting frustrated with the refs and he's like barreling into his defender and committing offensive fouls or whatever. Like sometimes he just has like some bad playoff games. I get it. But he's also popped off as well. I think that round one matchup against the Grizzlies, where I think in the middle of that series, it was like, wait, the Wolves can actually win this thing. Like he had a few great games, he had a few bad ones. There you go. But I feel like maybe if this is me being too nice, I think if there was ever going to be a year where Cat can overcome some of that, it would be with this team where, Ant can obviously shoulder more of the offense and, great defense around Cat and the whole thing. And to be clear, he still has the opportunity to do that. It's just with this injury, the whole thing might just be a little tougher now. But there's also a chance that he's back, and that's it. And this whole video ends up not really mattering that much, which for Cat's sake, obviously, that'd be cool. And for Wolves fans' sake as well, because, I mean, Wolves fans, based on, like, hearing John Krasinski, which is the number one, like, Wolves reporter, he's got, like, all the connections and all that stuff. Hearing him, and yes, he also has the same name as Jim from The Office. Anyway, spelled differently, though. But whenever you hear him on Zach Lowe's podcast, there's always this moment that he'll have where he'll talk about how Wolves fans are always expecting something bad to happen at some point. And I mean, this is definitely not like as bad as it could have been, but also let's just hope that Cat is cool and that Wolves fans can have just their best team in a long time go the farthest they could possibly go, which even if you think that the Nuggets are the favorite in the West, and I know I do, and I would imagine that is the majority, this still matters a lot. So yeah, that's about all I got for you.